right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorless told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Brian Daboll has been feeling it. He's in a foul mood. He's having stare downs with Pat Leonard and everything else.
John Mara wants Brian Daboll to go and get the next quarterback. They tried to get the next quarterback. We all watched it on Hard Knocks. They couldn't end up with Daniels. They couldn't end up with May. So they said, okay, we'll run it back a year. We'll go get Neighbors, and we'll tolerate.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on...
It is time for some Monday Night Football, which means, more importantly, it is time for Pro Football Today, the pregame show with Kasey Hudson, Dave Sharapan, Tom Vecchio, and Adam Kaufman. So this party is getting started a little early because we have a double header tonight. Titans taking on the Dolphins at 7:30, Seahawks taking on the Lions at 8:15, and we know which game is probably going to be a lot more fun, but regardless, we got to get you ready with odds, lines, angles, and so much more. If you guys are just now joining the pregame party or your first time watching, we've got so much in store for you. We got a same game parlay. We throw some things in a pot. We let Dave Sharapan give us his opinion, but most importantly, you get to hang out with the four of us to get you ready for this Monday Night Football doubleheader. We always start with the sportsbook to check in. How are you feeling? What are you seeing? What are you liking? What's your favorite game so far tonight? And most importantly, are you happy to be here? It's time to party.
Oh, my goodness. Beyond happy to be here. I mean, who doesn't like an invite to the pregame party here on SportsGrid? This is great. We had day baseball going on. Vinny's in a good mood because the Mets won. All the Mets fans are happy. That's good. That's going on. But, boys, there's an A side and a B side to the game tonight. Kasey, I'll let you start. Which one is the A side and which one is the B side tonight?
A side as in the one we actually want to watch, and B side as in the one that we will just not watch.
This is the way records used to be back in the day before you were probably getting CDs and tapes and things like that. Records had an A side and a B side. Which one's the A side?
I got you. Okay. A side, Seahawks, Lions. B side, Titans, Dolphins. This Titans, Dolphins one. We're going to make it fun.
Love it.
Exactly.
Yes.
We're going to make it fun. We're going to make us want to watch this and find all the best angles in it. And I know Tom's excited for one of the two of these games because we got a chance to talk last night on the post-game show. But, Tom, how's it going? Good to see you again.
Yeah, we did talk last night after Sunday Night Football. I said the same thing last night. One of these games is great. One of these games, not so much. That doesn't mean we can't find some good spots to be targeting when it comes to that weaker game between the Titans and the Dolphins. The Lions game, that's where all the action is. That's where the juice is. That's where we're going to find the best bets for tonight. Obviously, the expectation for the Titans and Dolphins puts things in a very, I'm going to say, like confined box where if there's a very low expectation for scoring, there's going to be a very low expectation for props. We're seeing Tyreek Hill prop, his yards prop listed at 51 or 52, which is insanely low. His anytime touchdowns up at plus 180. We have two games to get to. I'm ready to roll. Adam, how you doing?
All right, well, first of all, Dave, it's the year 2024. Do you have any idea how many of our viewers and listeners said, what the hell is a DVD? What's a tape? Let alone a freaking record. Everything is streaming. Everybody downloads everything. Come on, you know this. You're out here in the streets doing these shows daily. Listen, if we were to believe in the whole A side B side thing, then yes, Dave's absolutely right. There is one game that we should care about tonight, and the other one that does not, at least on paper, look nearly as good. I just wish I have no problem. In fact, I like the idea of NFL doubleheaders. I just wish the league would figure it out and stagger these games. And I don't mean by 30 or 40 minutes. I mean, let's have a game that starts at 7 Eastern and a West Coast game that starts at 10 Eastern and have a full night of football. Let's do this the right way. But for whatever reason, we're going to do this like 7:30, 8:15 Eastern thing, and it's dumb. Thing is, once you flip off of Miami and Tennessee, odds are you're not going to go back to it, to Dave's point. The biggest thing that I am wondering, though, between either of these two games in general is Seattle any good? This is something that Tom and I were talking about before the show. This Seahawks team is coming in at 3-0 and is understandably and rightfully an underdog against a Detroit team that I have taken both on the money line, part of parlays, to cover the spread, all of it. I am a believer in Dan Campbell going out there and his team biting kneecaps tonight. This Seahawks defense has gone against 3 teams that you can't tell anything about. I mean, let's consider Bo Nix in his NFL debut, and I know Bo's won a couple in a row. The Patriots, who might be the worst team in the NFL. And most recently, a Dolphins team that was led by Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyle. Ouch. For all we know, the Seahawks are frauds. We have no idea if they are any good. So tonight is the time that we find out.
This is what makes for great TV, right? Because you said it the other week, the NFL's been drunk, so what a perfect night to just continue to roll with the hangovers that could be the potential Seahawks. But I'm not going to count out the lines. I mean, they started to figure out some things, and as you mentioned, and Tom and I talked about it last night, they haven't really had to go against a strong defense for one, and they haven't had to put up much of a defensive fight for two. But if you look statistically across the nation, they're like, oh my gosh, Seahawks have this elite defense. Well, this is what we're here for, everyone. This is why the pregame party is so important, because we will break down this information for you. But before we jump ahead to the game that we have circled, and look, I have vinyl records, guys. I collect them. I'm an old school gal. It just went over my head for a second, okay? I'm on my 3rd cup of coffee. Got to wait for it to kick in. But I do like the vinyl record.
It sounds like it's kicked in.
Yeah, there you go. It just hit. It literally just hit. Live TV, we love it. Let's start with the other game. Let's start with the first game, 7:30, Titans versus Dolphins, 2.5 spread, 36.5 disgusting total. Tom, I'm going to start with you on this one. The best way to approach this game, because like you said, we're going to find some ways to get into this one. We are expecting a lot of turnovers on either both teams' side of the ball or one heavily, because we talk about Levis and his issues a lot on Pro Football Today. But what's your angle, Tom?
Overall, I think this game and the game plan is going to be very structured from the Dolphins. We got to remember, Tyler Huntley is essentially a 4th-string quarterback, because it was Tua Tagovailoa, Skylar Thompson, Tim Boyle, and then they signed Huntley off of the Ravens practice squad. So a 4th-string quarterback, obviously he's putting it in one way, but he has not been in the system throughout training camp, throughout the preseason, up until this point in the season. He's been with the team for like a week. So my overall theme for this game is they're not going to try to put the ball in his hands and have him throw it 35 times. That is not the game plan for the Dolphins. He's going to throw it 18 to 22 times. They're going to keep it very modest overall. They want to keep things in control. I said this to Ben and Donnie this morning. On the early line, they want to get to 3rd down to 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4. Keep it manageable. This is a Devon Achane game. It is going to be a ground game from the Dolphins. That's where everything starts. As I said, we're seeing super low props for both Hill, Jalen Waddle. It is a low expectation on the other side for the Titans. Like you said, Will Levis continues to make mistakes. If they can't get it done tonight when they're going up against a 4th-string quarterback, the Titans' season is cooked at this point, and we're going to see a wide range of outcomes from Hopkins and Pollard and Tajay Spears and Calvin Ridley. It is all over the place for both of these teams tonight. I think the game starts off punt on the first 2 drives. That's where I'm looking.
Oh, are we going back to this with Jason? Yep, immediately. Yep. See how respectfully I put that question out there? I didn't say it was a joke. I didn't make any kicker references. I'm just like, how many punts do we think we're going to see tonight? There we go. This is me being a supportive friend, Dave. What do we think we're going to see?
So I'm scrolling down game specials right now because I'm ready for anything. I'm trying to get ready. If Adam hits me with something, I just want to be prepared. If Tom's looking at something or you come up with some tight end prop, and I came across this one, and this will be good for people to mull over during the break. Each team to score a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown in each half. All right, the total's only 36 and a half. It's 270 to 1. That is plus 27,000 on the app, and I'm looking at it going, I don't think there's enough zeros on that thing. They're not going to score that in the whole game. They might not score a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown each in the whole game. So you're going to see some crazy odds and some crazy things tonight, and I can't wait to see what boys and you come up with for the first game. First game's a skill shot.
Yeah, but we're going to make it interesting.
I know we're going to go to
promised.
break in a second. I'm sorry. I got to get this out of my system or I'm going to explode in these
You
last
got
20
10 seconds.
Will
You
Levis,
got 10.
by NFL standards, at least NFL quarterback standards, sucks. He sucks. He has been intercepted 4 out of the last 5 games. Mistake
Hold
after
that
mistake
thought.
after mistake.
Hold that
this
thought.
Guy
All right.
blows. I want to talk about this more.
On the other side, stick with us here on Pro Football today on Sports Grid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all season long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorless told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
Would it make you feel better as a bettor or as a sports fan if they said after the game we were trying to cover the spread?
Oh, God. To say it out loud? Oh, my God, no.
So what,
no to say it out loud? Oh, my God. You can't say that out loud. No, you can't even. You can't do that.
Okay, so what is the big deal either way?
Oh, play the game the right way.
The Bostonian versus the book.
Welcome back into the Pro Football Today pregame party. We got a Monday night doubleheader for you. We're going to make Titans versus Dolphins. Very exciting here. Tom was just giving us some of his breakdown. Adam had a very insightful take on how much Will Levis is just spectacular. And then Dave is starting to look up some game specials because I'm thinking this is going to turn into a punting party, but who knows? So my one question to you, gentlemen, and I'll toss it back to you, Adam, so you can have your moment, is desperate teams tend to pull off some, have their time in the sun. There was a song that came to mind and I failed it. But can they find their first win tonight versus the Miami Dolphins with a fourth-string quarterback in the pocket, a defense that might be able to help keep this thing slow and low? But what's your take on this matchup?
I have so many takes on this matchup. Let's just finish the Will Levis stuff.
Wow.
Listen, first of all, I mean, the guy, I know he likes Mayo. Women seem to think he is a handsome fella. He's just not good at football. That's just it's okay. It's nothing to be ashamed of. He's a hell of a lot better at football than I am. He's probably better at broadcasting than I am. But he's not a good quarterback. Again, interceptions. 5 of them so far this year to just 4 passing touchdowns. His QB rating, I guess it's gone up by the game. I mean, when you start at 50, it better. But 50, 84, 92, he has generally been absolutely terrible week in and week out, and continually, because of his own mental blunders and mistakes, cost his team win after win. And you talk about the desperation factor surrounding Tennessee. Sure, they're 0-3. Tom mentioned, well, they can't not, they got to win or their season's cooked. Their season's already cooked. By NFL standards, during the Super Bowl era, when you start 0-3, only 6 teams dating back to 1970 have made the playoffs. Only 6. The last time we saw it was the Deshaun Watson, speaking of guys who suck, Deshaun Watson-led Texans back in 2018, all right? So it has been a while since we have seen this, and we just had this whole conversation about the Bengals who started 0-3. The difference is the Bengals should be a playoff team. The Bengals should be in the AFC Championship game. That's a team that I look at and say, all right, they are capable of going on a run. They are capable of getting their acts together. The Tennessee Titans, no, there's a reason they fired their coach in the offseason. Mike Vrabel should still be coaching. At least he was getting something out of Will Levis. You should be benching Will Levis right now. So this team, the season's already over. But if we're going to play into the whole desperation narrative, you're going to tell me the Miami Dolphins aren't desperate? Yeah, they've got one more win. They're 1-2. But again, this is a team that should be a playoff team. It is at home. It is favored. And oh, by the way, Snoop Huntley is going to be out there running around, from the quad to the gymnasium with his green hat, because he is better than Skylar Thompson and better than Tim Boyle. Neither one of them is Tua, I understand. But by God, you're going to tell me Huntley can't go out there and unlock Tyreek Hill at least a little bit, or Jalen Waddle? They don't have Raheem Mostert tonight, but they are capable.
Oh, Adam, sound off 1-2. That's what we just got there. Before I even unpack what you just did there, especially because Huntley unlocking Tyreek Hill. Okay, we're going to come back to that. Tom, talk to me about if this is the night that we could maybe potentially possibly finally look at some defensive props. One of you 3 have to say yes to this, because from what I'm hearing, it sounds like there could be, why not? You might not want to go in hard on the sacks, but when it comes to sacks and props on FanDuel, you've got a number of them for the Dolphins defense. Dolphins defense are 21st in the NFL in sacks per game and 14th in turnover margin. So can we have some fun with defensive props today, or are we just staying away from that?
We can, and I think the best way to go about it would probably be buying into the Will Levis. Oh, he throws touchdowns. Not touchdowns. He throws interceptions, and those can lead to defensive touchdowns. So instead of looking at a specific sack prop, his interception odds were -146 this morning. You might as well take a little sprinkle, a quarter unit sprinkle, whatever it might be, a fifth of a unit sprinkle on the Dolphins' defensive touchdown. That might be the most interesting way that gives you a little bit of action in this game. You don't want to have too much exposure to the game that's going to have a super low score, and it's also a somewhat likely outcome if we are buying into this narrative that Will Levis is just bad. Defensive touchdown from the Dolphins is probably the best way to go.
Okay, there we are. Now we're having some fun at this Pro Football Today pregame party. Thank you, Tom. As for Adam's sound off, Dave, I'm going to bring this one to you. Huntley unlocking Tyreek Hill. Let's walk through this one a little bit, because we have some people that feel like there's not much of a difference aside from the ability to use his legs, him being Huntley. But some people feel like there's not going to be much of a difference between Skylar Thompson and Huntley in the mix.
Yes,
that's not me saying it.
That could be true. That's not you saying it.
No.
But when you use the word lock in a sports book or on a show about sports betting, you got to be very careful. The lock word, I've seen a lot of locksmiths make bets, and it's nothing but it's a wrong lock. You need a locksmith to pick the lock. I'll give you one to think about. QB stuff, all right? You love the interception prop, all right? You're talking about sacks, negative things. Levis is only -146 to throw a pick, yes, okay? And as bad as he is, Huntley, it's pick him. minus 105 to throw a pick. Yes. Who do you think is favored to have more yards between those two quarterbacks, Case?
Ooh, I probably, unfortunately, have to go. Honestly, I don't know. I'm gonna go with Levis because Huntley is probably gonna, split it up between his arm and his legs a lot more. So even though we're not expecting much from Will, I think that's probably the best bet. No.
There's the numbers right there, and I'll throw it to the boys. Tom, first, look at that: 196.5 to 163.5. The price on Levis to have more passing yards is minus 185. That is incredible to me. I mean, is that a lack of opportunity? Because Adam just said that he's terrible and he's really bad at quarterback.
Well, it might just come down to a volume thing where if they do fall behind because of the mistakes he makes, they're going to be forced into a passing game script. So he has to pass the ball. And it's, again, it may not be effective. They might not be the prettiest passes, but they may just get there in garbage time. So I could see him getting to the over, but it's not going to be like, oh, this was an amazing performance, super effective, super efficient from Will Levis.
All right. Well, we still got a lot more to get into, not only with this matchup, but we got same game parlays to throw into the mix. And then to get to the fun part, Seahawks taking on the Lions at around the 8 o'clock hour tonight. So hang out with us here at Pro Football Today on SportsGrid TV. Don't go anywhere after this quick break.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all season, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over-under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorless told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
Would it make you feel better as a bettor or as a sports fan if they said after the game we were trying to cover the spread?
Oh, God. To say it out loud? Oh, my God, no.
So what,
to say it out loud? Oh, my God. You can't say that out loud. No, you can't even. You can't do that.
Okay, so what is the big deal either way?
Oh, play the game the right way.
The Bostonian versus the book.
Back at it with Pro Football Today, the pregame party with Kasey Hudson, Dave Sharapan, Tom Vecchio, and Adam Kaufman. And it is time for us to get rolling with some same-game parlay. All right, Adam, it's Monday night, which means you get us going. I keep cutting myself off. You get us going with the same-game parlay action. So what do you got for us today?
Oh, I think you guys are going to like what I have cooked up tonight, especially after the last doubleheader Monday. I got crap for doing a same-game parlay plus and putting 2 games together. I have stayed to just the one, And ironically, it is the one that I think is going to be the uglier of the two games. Now, by my standards, when I'm usually throwing out 5, 6-1 parlays, not this time around. We have something a little more modest, I believe, over at BetMGM plus 333. It is a same game parlay that is heavily in the Miami Dolphins' favor, as you can see on your screen. So listen, a friend of mine covers the Dolphins, and I texted him. I had already bet Miami to win, but I like to look. Best kind of bias is confirmation bias. And I said, hey, how about a prediction for this game? And he said, the Dolphins are way too talented, even without Tua, to lose a game of this magnitude, this importance. So we're going to stay simple. We're not going to worry about the 2.5 points. We are just going to go Miami on the money line to get us there. We talked about Tyreek Hill earlier, and Dave, I know, I get it. No such thing as locks in gambling. There's no free money. But my God, this line is too low, as Tom brought up earlier. 50.5 receiving yards out of Tyreek Hill? Cool. Do you want me to just bet on him to have one catch? That is what he is capable of. Take the ball and go the distance. And Huntley has the scrambling ability to get it to him. He's not been good the last 2 weeks. Now, he sat early in that blowout loss to the Bills because of the way that game was going. And then last time out, he didn't have anyone in Thompson or Boyle that was capable of getting him the ball. I think it happens tonight. I love Hill. I would ladder him up even. But for this, we're going to stay basic. And again, over 50.5. And if you were looking at that graphic, Casey, you see what else we have there, Dave, Tom? Kicker prop. Over 1.5 field goals for Jason Sanders. He has had, other than that one blowout, which was game script in week 2, he has had at least 2 field goal opportunities in 2 of the 3 games. Each of the games other than that blowout. He made 2 in week 1. He went 1 for 2 last time around. And I'm not totally sure that Huntley is going to be able to move the ball all the way consistently. I think there are a lot of drives that are going to stall out, that they're close enough, they're in field goal range, and it sets up opportunities for Sanders to deliver on short field goals. And oh, by the way, I told you this was coming at some point, Dave. How about this? This is the believer right here.
No.
Okay? Look at that. Laces out. Laces out, Tyler. Laces out.
Look at what
That's
this
right.
man brought
Sanders,
into the pregame party.
Give us that same game parlay.
My goodness. My toxic trait is I might actually love Adam's card and the whole spiel. Tom, what do you got for us to add to the same game parlay party before Dave can pick? I mean, how do you pick against Finkel? I don't know, but Tom, I know you got something good for us. Go ahead.
Good luck.
Yeah, I am flipping over to the other game, which I'm expecting to be a bit more exciting. And I got to say, last week, CeeDee Lamb, I had him for 100-plus yards. He ended with 98 because I decided to go for 100-plus instead of his normal over 79 rating. But this week, we turn to the Lions money line, and it is hinging upon Jameson Williams. That's what this same game parlay is, all in, essentially, on Jameson Williams, picking up a TD over 42.5 yards. He is one of my favorite players in the league that can break off big plays, which I will talk about once we dig into some props more. But he's going to score. He has a massive downfield target for Jared Goff. We know that the underneath routes are going to Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, who is good to go tonight, Jahmyr Gibbs coming out of the back. Those are the moving the chains players for the Lions alongside Montgomery coming out of the backfield. The Lions pick up the win because we have seen the Seattle defense yet to be tested, which we will continue to break down. Jameson Williams coming off a very, very slow week last time out against the Cardinals. This is the time he gets right. He hits the over on his yards. He finds his way into the end zone. And I like him going for probably 60-plus yards. But again, I want to keep it a little bit safer because we missed out on the CeeDee Lamb parlay last week by just 2 yards. He couldn't pick up the last 2 yards in the fourth quarter, despite entering it with 98 yards. So keeping it simple, plus 431 today.
These are actually really two really good cards, which means, Dave, you're probably going to need the break to mull over everything. I mean, Finkel's still shaking out down there. But make sure, let us know your favorite card on social media at SportsGrid. And we've got a quick break coming up here, but you're going to want to continue to rock with us here on Pro Football Today. It's the pregame party. Casey, Dave, Tom, Adam. We got so many more props, bets, angles, and lines to get into, and plus that 8 o'clock hour-ish game. So don't go anywhere. Stick with us on the other side of this quick break.
right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all season long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorless told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
Would it make you feel better as a bettor or as a sports fan if they said after the game we were trying to cover the script?
Oh, God. To say it out loud? Oh, my God, no.
So what,
to say it out loud? Oh, my God. You can't say that out loud. No, you can't even. You can't do that.
Okay, so what is the big deal either way?
Oh, play the game the right way.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Welcome back into Pro Football Today. It's the pregame show with Kasey Hudson, Dave Sharapan, Adam Kaufman, and Tom Vecchio. We just got the same game parlay from Tom and Adam and a Finkel jersey appearance, which was just brilliant. But we need Dave to pick who was the winner tonight. And we needed to give him a whole break to mull over it because things got, really interesting with the Finkel jersey. But honestly, 2 really good cards of the night. So which one?
They did. Good job by both of you. And splitting them up between the games made it even harder. And we'll get to Tom more a little bit later, but Tom's was very good tonight. The one thing I'm worried about for Tom's is the touchdown prop. That's the only one. The Jameson Williams having to score a touchdown. That's why the odds are what they are. The helmet and the graphic looks great, boys. But tonight the winner is Finkel, and it is Adam. And that parlay. He involved the kicker prop. He knows how to just get to you. Last week, we nailed it. We said there's going to be a lot of field goals. There was only 7. 7 field goals in one game.
Only.
It was over every number. Every number. Can you guys believe that almost 100,000 plus people went to the Meadowlands, whatever they call that stadium now, and didn't see the home teams, both of them, score a touchdown in 2 games.
Money back. I'd want it.
Yep,
I'd want it. All right, so Adam now picks up another win when it comes to same game parlay. I think he's starting to clip at the heels of Tom. So I got 1 lone win. I think Tom leads the group, and then Adam's getting closer in there. The Finkel jersey, what a pull for you to come through with. Tom, I'm going to toss this one to you before we get ready to pivot to the next game. What are the most appealing props in this Titans-Dolphins game to you?
That's going to be Devon Achane over 13.5 rushing attempts. It was sitting at plus 100. It is now up to 15.5 rushing attempts. So I think I got some nice closing line value there. Again, this is a running game, game script, game narrative, game plan for the Dolphins. They are not going to be putting the ball in Huntley's hands 35 times to throw it. That is not going to be happening. We know how good Achane can be coming out of the backfield. Keep it super simple, over 13.5 rushing attempts.
All right. Tom, do you got any props that you like in this matchup that you want to throw into the pot as well?
Moving for the Lions game?
For the Titans versus Dolphins.
Oh, go ahead, Adam.
Oh, did I say Tom again? I'm
so
sorry, guys. Adam.
I knew what you meant. It's okay. We look
My
very
apology.
similar.
My
I
apology.
just, I support, anything that gives Huntley an opportunity to get Tyreek Hill the ball to 50-plus yards. But I do like, obviously, that Huntley is not going to have to deal with Jeffrey Simmons in this game. I think that, it's Achan's name has been mentioned a number of times. I would look to his overs, given the fact that, obviously, there's no Raheem Mostert. He is officially inactive, even though he was not expected to play. And so, there are, mild concerns, obviously, that Huntley is going to have his life made a little bit difficult by virtue of the fact that it's a top 10 defense on the other side. As porous as the offense has been, the defense has been pretty good so far this year for Tennessee. But again, you have a weapon in Huntley's legs, and I think playing over on his rushing yards, which have climbed steadily during the week. I got in at, I think, 26.5. It's up over 30 at this point in time. Still think he could achieve that, though. That line as it stands right now doesn't scare me off. I think that he is going to be trying to scramble as much as possible to keep the chains moving.
Yeah, and right now I'm seeing 31.5 when it comes to Huntley's potential rushing yards. Before we close out on this game, pivot to the next game, Dave, now that I'm getting names correct, any final thoughts or things that fans need to keep an eye on when it comes to this matchup getting ready to go down around 7:30?
Earlier in the week, in the desert, Tennessee was actually favored in some places. They were -1 or pick 'em, and the line has steamed on the Dolphins. It's currently, at least out here in Vegas, let me click refresh, it's 2.5 at mostly every book. Now they're heavily juicing the 2.5, 37.5 is the total. You might see a book or two flash a 3 here before the game. The late money moves have been not always the right side, but just pay attention in the NFL. Sometimes these late moves are the right moves. Good luck if you got Will tonight with your tickets, and good luck if you have the Tennessee Titans. It's got to be Miami, I think.
Yeah, it feels like it. I know that Dolphins still have a really good roster, but it does, for some reason, feel like it could be anybody's game, and not particularly just in a messy form, just in the fact of it's going to be close and it's going to be one of those things somebody steals from the other in under 4 minutes to go. But let's pivot to another top game of the night. We got Seahawks taking on the Lions. 4.5 is the spread that I'm currently seeing. 46.5 is the current total that I'm seeing. Tom, throwing it back to you, your original or your top thoughts when it comes to this matchup tonight.
I am on under 48.5. I got it right when it opened last week. I think we're going to see a modest amount of scoring in this game. I think we're going to see two good teams go at it. A good amount of scoring back and forth. I don't think it'll fly past the over. I think the test that we're going to see for the Seattle defense, as Adam said at the top, as we talked about pre-show, this is their first test. Bo Nix, Jacoby Brissett, and then Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyle last week. They had yet to be tested. It's also possible that the Seahawks defense is good. Right? Both things can be true. They are actually good, and they also haven't been tested. So I'm buying into at least some of the Detroit offense, which I think, and a lot of people would agree, is one of the best in the league, one of the best in the NFC. So I'm expecting some amount of offense from the Lions. I'm not expecting to be a super clean game. Again, we're not going to be flying over in a massive amount of points, going to 50, 60 points. But a 24-20 kind of victory, I think, is somewhere in the range. I think the spread is super efficient, and it's going to come maybe down to a last-minute field goal, 23-10, somewhere around there. So I want to buy into some of the props, especially the player usage that I'm high on when it comes to both Seattle and mostly Detroit.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun props in this one. Now, as of today, Seattle's averaging roughly 4 points more than the Lions are, but that's not something to keep too close of a tab on. You got Smith leading a crazy aerial attacks, 74.8% completion rate, but it's his touchdown to interception ratio, 3-3. So the guy turns over the ball almost an equal measure of finding the end zone. But Adam, let me know, what are some top things that you are expecting to see in this game and keeping an eye on?
Well, just a real quick thing, and I say this with a little bit of trepidation because, as we know, the NFL, while we saw a little bit more chalk this week, generally speaking, it's really hard in this league, especially this year, to rely on the chalk. That being said, it's pretty clear listening to all of us that we like Miami to win. We like Detroit to win. Maybe you don't feel, super blown away by covering the spreads. But if you're just looking ultimately at the money line, a lot of sports books, whichever ones you're on, a lot of books have offered live profit boosts tonight for these games. What I am probably going to do with mine is honestly just wait until the first game kicks off and then do Miami on the money line, Detroit on the money line, which before a boost, whether it's 25, 50%, whatever the book, before a boost, it's right around plus 150 right now if you just pair those two together. So that's probably what I'm going to do in terms of that live boost opportunity, because I really like the home teams in this game, but in these games. In terms of, props, I do think there are a lot of interesting ones. You mentioned Smith. Well, how about, JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and what he has been doing this year. I think he and Geno Smith have been pretty well connected. A lot of people love JSN at 50-plus receiving yards to bounce back tonight off of a little bit of a slower outing last time around, and I think he will. I've played that. Also, I don't know what to make of Kenneth Walker going against a really, really good run defense and his return from injury. We haven't seen him in a couple of weeks, and, that line has steadily dropped. I got in at 55.5. It's closer to, I think, 50.5 right now. I'd still go under on his rushing attempts, or go under on his rushing receiving combo for yards, because I just don't know how heavily he is going to be involved in this game, especially if Seattle falls behind and Geno has to throw the ball.
Yeah, and Tom and I have talked about that a number of times on a few of the post-game shows between Thursday and Sunday. But as we mentioned here on Pro Football Today, a lot of fun props to get into with this matchup, and, of course, lines, odds, and ways to gauge the game. So don't go anywhere. We've got another break coming up here on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid TV. And I'm excited because, guys, I'm bringing back the love for the tight end. So stick with us. We've got a quick break coming up here, and we will see you guys on the other side in just a moment.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from, just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorless told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
Would it make you feel better as a bettor or as a sports fan if they said after the game we were trying to cover the spread?
Oh, God. To say it out loud? Oh, my God, no.
So what,
to say it out loud? Oh, my God, you can't say that out loud. No, you can't do that.
Okay, so what is the big deal either way?
Oh, play the game the right way.
The Bostonian versus the book.
You are watching Pro Football Today, the pregame party with Casey, Dave, Adam, and Tom. And we are now getting into the Seahawks versus the Lions game. And we've got to get Dave's opinion, your original thoughts, your original lines, odds, everything that sticks out to you for this matchup before we start taking these position groups head to head. So what do you think, Dave?
I like Detroit. And again, Adam summed it up pretty good based on a lot of things we've seen from Seattle, but also on a lot of things we haven't seen from Seattle. Find out a lot before the game, at the beginning of the game. if this is going to be more of an over game or an under game. I think it favors Detroit if we get more scoring, and I think Detroit will have more success offensively. So where we're at with the total, I don't usually say it, but I'm leaning over. Don't tell my friends, my book guys, because they're going to be like, Dave, what are you talking about? You've been booking these games and you like unders for 20 years. Not tonight, not this one. So if you got Detroit props, I'm all ears. If you got Seahawks props, it's going to be a tough sell.
And if you got tight end props, I will get to those eventually. So let's start taking things head-to-head, Tom. Let's talk about these two quarterbacks. You got Goff sitting at over-under 244 passing yards, but you got Geno Smith ahead of him sitting at over-under 252 passing yards. But which quarterback has the more favorable props for you tonight?
That would certainly be Jared Goff. And as I've mentioned before, I don't love looking at trends. I prefer the trends to be kept in a very tight window so we get an accurate sample size. But Jared Goff is just better indoors. Like, that's just a fact. He's better when the weather's nice. He's better indoors. And they're at home, which is even better for him. So sticking with Goff and, again, scoring from the Lions. As I said, breaking down this game, I think we're in for a modest amount of scoring. Dave leans on the over, which I guess is a good sign for a lot of the props that I have. So I'm going to stick with Jared Goff, and I'm going to say what is going to be his best game of the season. He's been okay to start the year, but I'm feeling a big game, multiple touchdowns, pushing towards 300 yards. I don't know if he actually gets it. If he gets there, it comes down to how much Seattle scores ultimately.
Okay. Adam, what's your pick? Who's your QB in this matchup?
Yeah, it would have to be Jared Goff, absolutely. I mean, if I'm on the Detroit side of things, unless I think they're going to take a big lead early and just run the rest of the way, I think that Goff gets it done. Now, I don't know how to feel about the total. My gut, my inclination, like Dave, would be to go for the over because I look at these two teams and I just think there are going to be points based on the talent there on the field, both sides. But you look at Tom mentions trends. Shockingly, the Lions are 3-0 to the under this year. They have not played high-scoring games. So, that makes me a little bit nervous. Plus, these island games just tend to be unders, certainly more than 50% of the time. So that's what I would expect. But the thing to sort of watch for with respect to Goff is, remember, it was the running backs that dominated last week for Detroit. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, they combined for 225 total yards of offense last week. Sam Laporta left that game with an injury. He is back, which is honestly a little surprising to me, the way that ankle looked, but he's going to return. Maybe he's more of a decoy and you want to play under on 4.5 receptions for him. That's something that I did. I just don't think he's going to be super, super involved. But, I think that the running backs are going to be, very much chain movers. Just remember that Montgomery is, or rather Gibbs is just as likely as any of the receivers to do that through the passing game as the run game.
See, I'm kind of teetering on going over on this one because if the Lions defense end up being the stronger defense and they give the Lions the opportunity to be on the offensive side of the ball even more, I feel like they'll have a chance to take off in that second half there and just like barely get over that total there. But continuing to take things head to head here for a second, we've got Metcalf versus St. Brown. And Tom, you've mentioned a number of times when it's St. Brown's moment, how he can just rack up the yardage there. So is there anything more favorable between these two?
I'm a big believer in St. Brown. I have some season-long props on him. So I guess I'm a little biased coming into this that I want him to continue to pile up the yards, but he's just that low A-dot guy for Jared Goff, average depth of target where he continues to move the chains. He continues to pick up first downs, and that's ultimately what they need in a lot of circumstances. So I'm all aboard St. Brown on a week-in and week-out basis.
All right. Dave, are you in agreement with that? St. Brown to be the leading charger? I was thinking Metcalf because of that sick visor is probably going to go toe-to-toe with this guy, but who knows? I do have some props for him as well.
Yeah. The thing you got to worry about, and I think you guys are talking it through, is game script. If the Lions have success running the ball, then Geno Smith is going to have more passing yards in that head-to-head. But if it stays close and that Seattle's able to keep up, I think that'll help push Goff's total over. Kasey, get the tight end props in right now, please. I mean, we got everybody.
Hang on, let me just.
Please.
I just want to add one thing to the St. Brown Metcalf conversation, which is I wouldn't, and I'm not saying either one is a bad play. I just personally wouldn't play overs on either of those two guys. What I would rather do, and I feel like an MGM ambassador between my same game parlay and mentioning this Lions boost, but I saw this just before the show, and I think it's a good play. They have St. Brown 70-plus receiving yards and Metcalf 50-plus receiving yards boosted to plus 220. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Actually, so I'm glad that you point that out because I was a little nervous about going with any sort of over yardage. So I actually just took Metcalf for over 4.5 receptions because he averages 6.3 receptions career-wise versus the Lions, and he averages 95.7 receiving yards versus the Lions. His lowest total, though, in 2022 was 63 yards. So at that point, I said receptions over yardage, and that is why I have Metcalf on my betting card. You asked for tight ends, and I'm going to give you tight ends, but not at this moment. After we go to another quick break here on Pro Football Today, the pregame show. Make sure you guys are letting us know your best bets, your favorite bets of the night between either of these games. You can chat with us on social media. We chat with each other while the game is going on. I mean, chat is a nice way to put it. We give each other a lot of love on social media throughout the game, so don't go anywhere. Make sure that you stick with us here on SportsGrid today. Apparently, I have 30 seconds to quickly give you a name. Noah Fant. I do have something for him because you're going to need a sizable matchup if you're going to compete with this Lions defense, and size is going to have to help. And his number's only sitting at 25.5. And oh, by the way, tight ends are averaging 27.67 yardage versus the Lions. I'll leave you guys with that little nugget as we cut to this break here on SportsGrid TV. Join us for the pregame party on the other side coming up here.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dog?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Shoreless told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
Would it make you feel better as a bettor or as a sports fan if they said after the game we were trying to cover the spread?
Oh, God. To say it out loud? Oh, my God, no.
So what,
no to say it out loud? Oh, my God. You can't say that out loud. No, you can't even. You can't do that.
Okay, so what is the big deal either way?
Oh, play the game the right way.
The Bostonian versus the book.
Welcome back into Pro Football Today. It's the pregame show, or party, as I like to call it. Kasey, Dave, Tom, Adam, running through this Monday Night Football doubleheader slate, talking Seahawks versus Lions right now and taking these positions head to head. Now, of course, I've alluded to it 100,000 times. I've got some love for the tight ends coming up here. But before I get into that whole spiel, Adam, I didn't want to cut you off if you had anything further when it came to Metcalf and St. Brown, if you liked favorably one over the other, or if you had any props in particular for one of these guys.
Nah, I'm good.
Yeah. Nah, that's probably the mildest response ever.
Wow.
Ever. All right, I'll take it.
The secondary receivers are far more interesting.
Okay.
Yeah,
Tom,
I mean, I already mentioned I would play the 50+ receiving for JSN. You know, you could get that alternate on FanDuel if you don't want to do the 50.5 or 51.5 at the various books. At one point in time earlier today, it was 47.5 or 48.5. I grabbed it at that, but I would just go with the 50+, take it there. I think that, you know, Metcalf is going to be Metcalf, and he's been awesome all year. But I think Geno Smith, in order to win this game, is going to have to get multiple guys involved. Now, he's got 3 really good weapons when you include Tyler Lockett as well. But, you know, as Dave and Tom have both talked about, that if Detroit does what we all kind of believe the Lions are going to do, and not only get ahead, but get ahead early, and it turns into a passing game on the Seattle side, that's just pro props, right? You know, that's Smith looking to get those guys involved, and it's those 3 guys. As much as you want to shout out, you know, Noah Fant, you know, he may it's a modest line, so it could happen, but those 3 guys in particular are the primary targets.
All right, that went from mild to secondary love real fast. Tom, I know you got some love for these other guys, so go ahead and unlock that for us. You guys,
just as I spoke about on the SGP, this is a Jameson Williams game. That's what we're going to be seeing tonight. I like him for a couple of specific props, and that'd be over on his longest reception at 20.5 and over 42.5 yards. They're both sitting at -120 over the first 2 weeks. We saw him break off 52 and 50-yard receptions dating back to last year. We're routinely seeing him break off 30, 40, 60-yard receptions. That's because he has a 14.0 average depth of target. He leads the Lions with a 44% air yards share. This is the double dip. He can get this done in one play. Over 20 and over 42.5 on a single catch is what he's capable of doing. So after a down game against Arizona last week, this is the rebound game for him. They set up the run game. The play action happens, and Jameson gets downfield against a Seahawks defense that is yet to be tested. So that's where I'm going. And on the other side, JSN, Jackson Smith, and Jigba tied for the team lead when it comes to receptions, second highest on the team when it comes to total target share. He's getting in the end zone tonight.
Oh, all right. I'm pretty. Yeah, that was a slam dunk, Tom. I'm pretty sold on that one. But you've said it before. You said it a number of times. And when you lock in on something like this, Tom's card has usually been in favor of what he just said there. So, I mean, might not be feeling 3 for 3 tonight, but it's looking like you could go 3 for 3 tonight. We got 2 minutes left before we get into some other fun here on Pro Football Today, the pregame party. So I'm going to go ahead and just take over and talk about the tight ends. Thanks, guys. Why am I going for any props with the tight ends? Well, as they mentioned, Sam Laporta got a little banged up, and we were surprised to see that he was going to be participating in this game, but he did go through a full practice. If you saw any of the clips on social media, weirdly, looks kind of fine. So I am riskily enough going to take him for over 4.5 receptions at plus money because he's a clutch guy, because he doesn't have to do any endangered routes. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. I think that they can easily just pitch the ball to him for a couple of receptions, and he can easily hit that over 4.5. That's just what they like to do. And plus, teams aren't going to expect much to go to him because of this injury. So put him in the decoy category to where the Lions can kind of use him in a different fashion. I'm taking Font because, like I said, the Seahawks are probably going to need this mismatch a little bit to get some action going for them or potentially use him for a momentum swing. And it doesn't take a lot to get 25.5 receiving yards. So I'm taking Font over that one. Tight ends this season have averaged 27.67 yards versus the Lions specifically. They've been targeted roughly 5 times, and they've at least picked up 4 receptions. So if you're not liking the yardages, you can check out Font for his receptions as well. So that's my tight end love of the day or the night. What do you think? What do you think, Dave?
That was pretty strong. I mean, there was a lot of emphatic arguments being made right there. Tom came strong with the wide receiver stuff. Your tight end thing is interesting because look at those numbers, 25.5, 38.5. Not big numbers, not many opportunities. But as you know, you can't score goals if you don't take shots, Case. All right? Every week we got to try to get a hockey reference in here because hockey season's coming. Keep shooting, throw it to the net, see what happens. Maybe we'll get one of these tight end props over.
Exactly. Low bar, high standards. We're going to see some tight end love tonight. Don't go anywhere because more love is coming on the other side of this break. Like it, love it, leave it with these three gentlemen. So hang with us here on SportsGrid TV.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorless told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
Would it make you feel better as a bettor or as a sports fan if they said after the game we were trying to cover the spread?
Oh, God. To say it out loud? Oh, my God, no.
So what,
no to say it out loud? Oh, my God. You can't say that out loud. No, you can't even. You can't do that.
Okay, so what is the big deal either way?
Oh, play the game the right way.
The Bostonian versus the book.
Back at it with the Pro Football Today pregame party. Casey, Dave, Tom, Adam. But the party cannot go on without us getting into some like it, love it, and leave it. Let's roll it. All right, Adam kicked off same game parlay party, which means, Tom, you're throwing out your first long shot special, whatever you're feeling right now, to see if Dave will pick it up, put it down, or put it to the side. In other words, like it, love it, or leave it. What do you got for us, Tom?
I'm going to be sticking with Jameson Williams. When I have a narrative about a game, I stick to that 100%. I like to find correlation with things. You know, Adam likes to say you just want your bank account or you want your account balance to be higher at the end of the day than it is at the beginning. And I largely agree with that, but I want to have things like in a narrow focus. And that means going to Jameson Williams over 20.5 for his longest reception. We've seen this time and time again from the Lions offense. We have seen them get the ball to him downfield. He has his big play potential. He's going to bounce back, as I said, after a slow week. They're at home. They're on the turf. The Lions are going to score, and it's going to start off with Jameson Williams. I will sprinkle on Williams for first touchdown as well.
Ooh. Are the glasses going on for your liking, loving, and leaving it, or are you just going to break it down for us, Dave?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. What is the price, Tom?
It was minus 120. For over 20.5, it did move to 21.5 at minus 110. I saw. Okay. I don't know what it is currently.
Okay, so when you move the number on a prop, that's interesting. It doesn't happen very often. Now, the variance on a wide receiver longest reception prop isn't much. It's probably 20.5 to 21.5 to maybe 19.5 down or 22.5 up. I like this tonight. I don't love it because it's, again, opportunity will dictate whether we get it or not. He's going to get a lot of targets. Let's hope he gets that one reception where he breaks it off for a run.
All right.
I can deal with that.
I like it. I'm right there with you. What do you got for us tonight, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, just to quickly respond to what Tom said, and we've talked about this a number of times, so I agree with his line of thinking. I think it's a smart line of thinking to have correlated plays when you have a more narrow focus, meaning I don't know how many plays on average Tom has in a given day, but let's say it's a handful or 7 or whatever. Like, yeah, you should be kind of rooting singularly within a certain focus. When you are a volume bettor, as you know, I know there are a few of them on this network certainly, and you have dozens upon dozens of plays in a given day, it's just impossible for those to be correlated. So at that point in time, you're just trying to, beat the math. You want the math, essentially. As far as my like it, love it, leave it play, I did not pick one out of my SGP. I decided to go outside the box and go with the Detroit Lions simply to cover tonight, to cover the 3.5, 4 points, whatever. I know some people, and maybe Dave, Bookmaker Dave over here is one of these people that say, oh, but they're outside of the key number of 3. The smart play, you got to go Seattle because it's 4. That's not a key number. You got to take the +4. No, listen, if I believe a team is going to win, and I believe that the other team defensively is fraudulent, as outlined earlier, and the Seahawks maybe aren't that good, especially not 3-0 good, not perfect good, and haven't faced anyone yet this year, I feel like I know who and what the Lions are. A team that is going to win its division and should, quite frankly, be perfect, never mind 2-1, and should also be in the Super Bowl conversation. So if you can't go out in prime time on a Monday night and beat the Seattle Seahawks by 5+ points, I mean, you got to show it to me, Seattle, if I'm going to buy in. So I'm going with the Lions to cover tonight.
I feel like we said that about the Bengals, and then that game script just kind of got shredded in the shredder, put on that field, put kerosene on it, lit it on fire. Ashes actually got buried after that. But you know what? I'm being dramatic. Dave, like it, love it, leave it.
I got to take the glasses off for this because I kind of teared up a little bit when Adam started talking and that graphic popped up because it wasn't anything super crazy. It's a straight side, -4 only. So for that alone, let alone it's the side that I like tonight, I love it. I don't like it.
Wow.
I can't leave it. I absolutely love it. This is great. Adam,
what a day it's been.
It's been. We're having. I mean, the game hasn't even started yet, and we're already having one of these moments. I mean, there's a lot of love.
One of these moments.
This is a big one.
I said there was a lot of love tonight. Last time we did this, though, and I felt like you gave Adam, a lot of love or whatever, or Tom. It was one of them, too. And then all of a sudden I threw my hat in the rink, and I got pushed to the side. So we'll see what happens now.
It's yours.
For my love it, like it, leave it, long shot is going to be Montgomery and Gibbs to combine for 100 rushing yards in the first half.
Boy, Case, you can cross the red line and get closer to the net when you shoot. You don't have to try to dump it in from the other end of the ice. What are the odds on this?
But who doesn't? Who doesn't love something a little crazy? This is the point of this. This is the point. I might not be a volume bettor, but I might not be able to focus too much either. Thank you. But this one's coming in at +550. You got to keep it. Somebody's got to keep it interesting. That's
all right.
What
This
I
is
do.
Case. This is like a shot from the point that has to get through 3 sets of legs and one.
No, this is a goalie goal. This is a goalie goal.
A goalie goal. A goalie goal better have longer odds than +550.
Maybe that's how much faith I have, John. Adam. That was the most faithful reference.
How many? Wow. Does a goalie goal
Honestly,
have +550?
If this was for the second half, it'd actually be more interesting because you'd be buying into the Lions at -4. They'd be up and they wouldn't have to pass and they could control the clock and run the ball more.
You know what?
So
they gave me one option for the goalie goals, gentlemen, and that was first half seas, okay? And I decided to have a little faith, a lot of faith, that is. So
this
I'm guessing
is Josh Allen to have a rushing touchdown in the second quarter on a Thursday night in the wind.
Very specific. Casey comes very specific on these things. Case,
I do. Somebody has to do it. Somebody has to do it.
But I mean, we got to leave this one at the door, Casey. We can't bring this one into the party. I don't think so. I'm just saying.
I'm not offended. I'm not offended. I'm going to stick with, I'm going to keep at it because one of these weeks, we've got twice a week that we get to hang out and party with each other. One of these weeks, one of these outrageous things are just going to lock in. It's going to happen. The goalie goal comes at least 3 times a year. At least 3 times every season.
Showed up to a frat party with a bottle of Cristal. It just doesn't fit, Casey. It just doesn't work.
I'm sorry. I should show up with my Skull vodka, okay? But this is this is me trying to be look, somebody's got to do it. That's all I can say to that one, honestly. So all right. Well, whatever. Any other best bets that you have since my stuff's being left alone? Tom, I'll take it back to you because once we go to our last break, then we'll run through final thoughts and any other best bets. So I want to give you guys a chance to put out your favorites or top thoughts of the night before we go into final best bets. And then I unfortunately lose you guys for the last leg of the party, but I get to talk to Diney right side. So all is well in love and war. So talk to me, Tom.
I want to keep on the track that I am, sticking with the Lions props, a touchdown from JSN, and that's a usage thing. I'm going to continuously buy in on players like JSN that haven't scored yet, that have high involvement in the offense, high snaps, high yards per routes run, yards per route run, target share, red zone target share, and he hasn't scored. So JSN is a player that I'm going to be sticking on a lot, either this week or next.
All right. Anything you want to throw into the mix, Adam?
As I said earlier, no, I'm good.
No. I don't know.
What a heel turn.
Seriously,
this is unreal.
I don't know how to take it. I really don't know how to take it. But you know what? We will get into more best bets and final thoughts, and Adam will give us more than a syllable and a half on the other side of this break. So don't go anywhere. Continue to party with us here on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid TV. And I remind you yet again, chat with us over on social media. You see the gentleman's handles right there. You'll see us continuing to carry our conversations from the party on to social media. 2 more quick breaks, but 1 more quick break coming up right here. I'll catch you guys on the other side.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorless told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
Would it make you feel better as a bettor or as a sports fan if they said after the game we were trying to cover the spread?
Oh, God. To say it out loud? Oh, my God, no.
So what,
to say it out loud? Oh, my God. You can't say that out loud. No, you can't do that.
Okay, so what is the big deal either way?
Oh, play the game the right way.
The Bostonian versus the book.
Welcome back into Pro Football Today, the pregame party with Kasey, Dave, Adam, and Tom. We got one more rally with the boys, which means final thoughts on either or both of these games. Any other best bets you want to throw into the mix, or if all of this NFL craziness, drama, and excitement has maybe swayed any futures discussions, the floor is officially y'all's, or one at a time, that is. Adam, I'm going to start with you first. What's your final thoughts on this Monday Night Football?
Yeah, I mean, I do want to mention one thing as relates to the Miami Dolphins, and I was just looking, and they are plus 7,500, so 75-1 to win the Super Bowl. And I realize that may sound absolutely bonkers. I'm not saying go out and place the bet. I bring this up for a reason. I realize all of what we have been talking about throughout the show with what's been like dragged out on the field for them at quarterback, and what we're going to see tonight in Tyler Huntley, who I do believe is going to win, and the odds are going to improve. They won't be that ugly because, again, they'll have another win in their pocket. I bring this up because according to Adam Schefter, perhaps you've heard of him, he's over at the Four-Letter Network, Tua Tagovailoa is, quote, symptom-free and appears to be on track to return to the field as soon as Week 8. So if you were someone who was high on the Dolphins going into the year with a healthy Tua, and you think his return makes a difference, this is a number you may want to sprinkle, as Brady Cannon would say, a little bit of hot dog money on, because you're getting a great number if Tua can give them a little bit of a run if and when he actually does return midseason and stay healthy the rest of the way.
Oof. That's okay. That's something to mull over for sure. Tom, final thoughts?
I'm take back everything I said about
goals. Whatever you want to do.
That's it. Everything I said earlier about loving it, it's out. That's it. Leave that one. What are you talking about?
All right. At least I get back. I get a little closer into the column of less shame. Tom, sorry. Go ahead.
I think this is another chance for Aiden Hutchinson to prove that he's going to be Defensive Player of the Year. And maybe it's not going to be another 5 sacks or whatever he had in that game, but he's the odds-on favorite right now. Micah Parsons went down with an injury and is expected to miss. Also, according to Adam Schefter, he may be missing this upcoming game for the Cowboys. This really should put him in a two-headed race between him and TJ Watt. And if we're expecting, I'm going to say the Lions ultimately to be a bit better than the Steelers overall, push a little bit deeper, I think this is another chance for Hutchinson to prove himself to be Defensive Player of the Year.
Oh, I like Hutchinson's potential a lot there. And I mean, guys, if you want to add to the crazy, there was a game special out there for 5 sacks to be recorded for the Lions. Dave, final thoughts on either or both?
Either or both. Yeah, so we got football, right? We got Detroit, and the Honolulu Blue is making its. They're putting the helmets out tonight. But I've had baseball on my mind all day, and it's one of those things that you sit and you watch. And I was always the guy in the book that had to make the baseball numbers. And the Mets won early, the Braves won late, so the series is set. The Mets are going to Milwaukee,
which means the Diamondbacks are out.
To San Diego, the Diamondbacks are out. But it's all about the Detroit Lions tonight, and then the Detroit Tigers are live underdogs. Okay, we got Detroit, and for Vincenzo and the rest of the Mets fans, I wore the old school Mets, Mr. Met logo. Put them together in the crazy exacta for the World Series, and you want a big plus? The 6 seeds can do it. They did it last year. The Diamondbacks and the Texas Rangers got there as the 5 and the 6. It can happen. It's 400-1. You want to talk about hot dog money, Kaufman? You want to talk about? I mean, you could be interested in something like that. That's going to get you a lot of hot dogs, Case.
This is new.
Detroit
this
Tigers,
just became special.
Mets. It's in there. It's in there. I'm telling you.
We've seen the team outfit change, but now we got the league outfit change. So we just went from football to MLB. This is special. You never know what you're going to get here.
I don't know how much time we have. What do we have? Like 2 minutes? Can I ask you guys a quick football question?
We have enough time for you to go off.
Heaven forbid on the football show. I want to ask you guys a quick football question. The Super Bowl odds right now, the favorites, okay? You scoff at the Miami thing, that's fine. The favorites are an increasingly banged up Kansas City Chiefs team, who I know have won the last 2. And after that, an incredibly banged up Niners team. And I'm just wondering if you guys believe, people say, oh, the top of the board is boring. Why do you want to bet the top of the board? Look for value. That's fine. I don't care about that right now. I'm wondering if you actually think, Tom, I'll start with you, the top of the board is worth betting. Okay? Should we be investing in the Chiefs or Niners to win the Super Bowl, given all the things they have going against them right now?
I would not be betting on them. I have a position on the Texans as I've had since back in April, so I'm sticking with them. I like the number that I have them at. I have them to win the AFC. I have them over 9.5 wins. I would not be betting it. I would never recommend someone to bet on a Super Bowl or a championship at 5-1 or 6-1. That's not what you should be doing. You should move somewhere in that Bills to Lions range at a 10-1, 13-1, 14-1. That's probably the range you should be sticking in and ultimately finding the best in any sport, the value for a championship.
Dave, I actually want your thoughts on this one.
All you need to do right now is come up with the other piece of the puzzle in the NFC. San Francisco and Philadelphia are both hurt, beat up, and McCaffrey's over in Europe trying to, get healthy. And the Eagles are totally beat up, multiple guys. If you can find the other piece of that puzzle in the NFC, because it's not both.
Lions.
San Francisco
Lions.
and the Eagles are not going to both be in the NFC Championship. So you give yourself an opportunity down below. Kasey, is it Tampa? That's where you're from. That's where you came from, lived, all this other stuff. Is the Buccaneers an option for you?
Would I say some things if I didn't think that you... Go away, Adam. I would say something if I didn't think you guys were going to completely rag on me.
Why?
And guess what? Disney World is close enough for Baker Mayfield to bring home a championship and have some fun. So I don't want to hear anything. I'm trying to make sure that I don't feed into any over-unders that you guys have on me talking about Tampa Bay as well. So goalie goals, we've got props, we've got Titans and Dolphins. We got to see what Huntley can do tonight. And then we've got to see if the Lions are going to pull off this 4 spread that Adam just locked in on. So much more. But now we get to dismiss these, gentlemen. Follow them on social media. Catch us chatting with each other on SportsGrid on X. We'll catch you on the other side with Donnie Rightside right here on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all season, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over-under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorless told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
Would it make you feel better as a bettor or as a sports fan if they said after the game we were trying to cover the spread?
Oh, God. To say it out loud? Oh, my God, no.
So what,
to say it out loud? Oh, my God. You can't say that out loud. No, you can't do that.
Okay, so what is the big deal either way?
Oh, play the game the right way.
The Bostonian versus the book.
Welcome back into Pro Football Today. It's the pregame party, but now we are partying with Donnie Rightside. He's going to give us his breakdowns and best bets for this doubleheader for Monday Night Football. That means we got to take it back to the Titans versus Dolphins game. Your thoughts on this one and maybe some bets that you want to throw out for the bettors?
I mean, yeah, maybe a couple weeks ago, Casey, we're like, oh, this could be an exciting game. Thank goodness tonight we have a doubleheader because everybody's looking forward to the second game in Detroit with the Seahawks. But you can still make some money on this game tonight. The one thing I can't figure out, I've seemed to be liking the Tennessee Titans more than most people this season. They haven't provided the victories, that's for sure, but also the line now moving closer to 3. Huntley's a decent quarterback, but he's a backup here. If you look at the 3 games that the Miami Dolphins played this year, Casey, it hasn't been good on offense. Tua Tagovailoa or no Tua Tagovailoa. So I look towards leaning on the points. It was simple for me. Whoever was laying points, I can't take that side. It's only the points for me. Do I love the Tennessee Titans? No, but I'd be looking to take the points tonight.
Are you kind of leaning that way because we've seen their defense be, somewhat tougher than we expected, at least in the first half through week 3? So is that something the Titans can potentially present tonight?
Honestly, it's if you go through Pollard, I think you'll be fine tonight. You have 2 capable wide receivers on the outside, but what's the question that keeps coming up in these first couple of games? Hey, Will, stop throwing the football away. Stop fumbling. You'll be okay if you don't do that. I'm hoping he doesn't do that tonight.
Oh, I tried to bait the guys earlier into taking an interception prop or something because we always talk about what Will does.
Yeah,
so is that
coming.
something?
Yeah.
All right. That'd be
it
something.
is.
So
it is.
Tell me your favorite bets within this matchup.
If we're taking a look, and I wanted to be smart here, so I went with the same game parlay, which, again, most people say, let me parlay it up plus 260, plus 270. I'm just looking to make some money back. My first guy is Tyreek Hill, 50 rushing and receiving. And you might say, well, Donnie, why don't you just go with the receiving props? They have to get creative on offense.
Yes.
It wasn't good last week in Seattle, so he's going to have to run the football. The same thing with Waddle. So if I can get 1 or 2 rushes, which doesn't mean from the tailback position, run me a jet sweep, run me a reverse play, pick me up 10 to 11 yards there, that means what? I need 35, 40 yards receiving for Tyreek Hill, so I took that end of it, but I paired it up with Tony Pollard on the opposite side. Will, don't throw the football away. Give it to Pollard. And also, a couple screen passes for Tony Pollard, a couple directed his direction. I think that works out. It's plus 110 price. So, again, Hill, 50 rushing and receiving. And then the opposite side with the Titans, we went with Pollard, 50 rushing and receiving as well.
I like that. I think Adam had it on his card, just the over receiving yards there. But I think that's the perfect way to pair it off because we don't know what we're going to get game script-wise.
That's true.
There's too many question marks for this matchup. Now, taking it to the other game of the night, Seahawks versus the Lions, we're going to see are the Seahawks defense for real because they haven't had the top competition to go up against yet. They have been a fun team to watch. So what are you seeing in this matchup?
I think you hit the nail on the head. Do I like what Seattle's doing? Of course, they're unbeaten in the NFL, and that's the name of the game. It's only who you play. But let's also understand they didn't play any quarterbacks worth any salt here in the first 3 weeks. They're going to get a really good quarterback on the road tonight. I expect points. So if I'm looking from a laying points perspective, yes, if I think Detroit wins the game, they can cover the 4.5. I'm on the Lions tonight just for that fact where they have to prove it to me, Seattle. I already know Detroit's a good team. I think Detroit wins and covers tonight.
Ooh, so let me ask you this, because we kind of had a little bit of a split decision on what to do with the total. Because say the Lions get ahead, say the Seahawks make it interesting for a quarter or two, the Lions have the capability of taking off. Well, if they take off, are they running the ball? Are they passing the ball? Can they go over this total?
I think they can go over to 46.5 because the one thing you usually look at is like, well, if they run the football, they're going to run the clock out. That's Jahmyr Gibbs back there. That's Montgomery back there. They can hit home runs at any time here. And also, from a Geno Smith standpoint, he's got 3 great wide receivers. How do you attack Detroit? It's not running the football. It's passing the football. I think we get points, and also, we're not worried about weather conditions. It's a dome. It's a fast track. Let's get some points tonight.
Okay. I threw something crazy out there. I got made fun of. Am I going to put myself on the line yet again? Of course I am, because I'm me. As my long shot, let's preference that, had Montgomery and Gibbs combining for 100-plus rushing yards in the first half.
Well, hey, Jahmyr Gibbs, 62-yard jaunt. There you go. We could see it. I can see it right now.
See, laugh it up, Dave, Adam, and Tom. That one's for you guys. So I'm going to run a few bets by you before we run out here. I got Metcalf over 4.5 receptions.
Yes.
Wasn't sure how I felt about yardage, even though he has been productive when it comes to going against the Lions specifically, but he does average 6.3 receptions career-wise versus the Lions. We good on that?
Yep.
All right.
Like that.
I like it, too. Sam Laporta. Was he banged up? Absolutely. Did we see footage of him having a full practice, not wincing, not looking irritated whatsoever? Absolutely. So I have him for over 4.5 receptions because it doesn't have to be major plays. You need your tight end to get some work done in the middle, yeah?
Best friend of a quarterback, set tight end over the middle. You know me.
My favorite. Another tight end, Noah Fant, over 25.5 receiving yards. Seahawks will need to mix in the height in the body for some mismatches versus this defense. Plus, Tight ends are targeted 5 times on average and 4 receptions versus the Lions.
3 dominant wide receivers means what? We got to focus on them. Somebody's got to be open. Why not the tight end?
See, Donnie, I love hanging out with
There
you
you
on
go.
this one. Montgomery, I
Bump
have
it up.
over 77.5 rush plus receiving yards. I wanted to be safe here, but I think he can get the job
Tackle
done.
on a touchdown as well. Montgomery's going to find the end zone. We know this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Potentially 100 rushing yards with Gibbs. Then, if I wanted to have some fun with it, Geno Smith interception, because he's got a touchdown to interception ratio of 3-3.
He should throw the football 30-plus times tonight. Interception, yes.
We got in-game live coming up. Donnie, Kevin, and Joe. Stick with us here on SportsGrid TV.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over-under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorless told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
Would it make you feel better as a bettor or as a sports fan if they said after the game we were trying to cover the spread?
Oh, God. To say it out loud? Oh, my God, no.
So what,
To say it out loud? Oh, my God. You can't say that out loud. No, you can't even. You can't do that.
Okay, so what is the big deal either way?
Oh, play the game the right way.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
We are live with you here on SportsGrid, in-game live for another Monday night doubleheader of NFL action. Kevin Walsh, Donnie Rightside, Joe Lisi, as we get set for South Beach, Miami, and Tennessee. It is going to be the Titans ball first here. Lisi, I'll go to you first. Your key tonight for the Titans offense.
Has to be quarterback Will Levis. He's got to limit the turnovers. 5 interceptions, Donnie, over the last 3 games. If he doesn't turn the football over, gets over the 196.5 number that they started at the start of tonight, I think they'll win this matchup.
I must be crazy tonight if I think that the Tennessee Titans are going to win this game. But I do, so I must be crazy. I'm going to go with the Titans. Give me the points and also got a parlay. Tyreek Hill, 50 rushing and receiving combined. Parlayed with Pollard, 50 rushing and receiving combined, plus 110. Right in my wheelhouse. Simple, fashionable, profitable. Let's go.
But we get points.
Always keeping it fashionable there.
Correct.
I think we could get points in this football game tonight. You know, for this Titans offense, though, you mentioned the key being Will Levis. I would agree that he has to stop having a play that is so bad that we go, there's no way they keep starting him. But I think that it is a Tony Pollard night like Donnie does. I bet his rushing. I bet his anytime touchdown in this game. Tony Pollard has established himself as the clear lead back with this game, with this Titans team. You compare him to Tajay Spears, snap count, workload. This is Pollard's backfield here, Lisi. And if this team tonight is going to win this game. I'm not saying they need to play conservative, but they need to get their backs going against Miami's defense.
No, when you have a playmaker like Pollard that can catch the edge, that puts pressure on Miami's defense, you get them running sideline to sideline, and you can work off of play action, which ultimately would take the pressure, Donnie, off of Will Levis. And let's not forget, Jacksonville over 100 yards, 122 week 1. We saw Buffalo pound it for 240 in week number 2. That is the recipe to get wins against the Miami Dolphins defense. So Tony Pollard is a great look, guys.
By the way, the Miami offense, Tua Tagovailoa or no Tua Tagovailoa, has been terrible this year. And we're expecting them to wake up basically with a third-string quarterback in Snoop Huntley. I don't know if it happens, but the one thing I do know is McDaniel's going to have to go to the wheelhouse and say, somehow I have to get the football in Waddle and also Tyreek Hill's hands. Let's see if they run the football.
Yeah, and we'll get to Miami's offense when they take the field there. I think Tyler Huntley's an upgrade over how they attacked the field last week, whether that was Tim Boyle filling in for an injured Skylar Thompson. To me, Huntley's an upgrade over either of those guys there. The Titans did have a 3rd and long that stays alive due to a roughing the passer call here. We look at the Tennessee Titans as an 0-3 football team through their first 3 weeks, and it immediately kind of shifts the conversation around Tennessee. I think some people thought that they could be a dark horse when we talk about the AFC playoff picture there, and that's just not going to happen. This team was already up against it, I thought, from a talent perspective. So you have to surprise people early. And they could have won their opening game against the Bears. They could have won their opening game against the Jets. They didn't. And then were smashed at home against their former quarterback in Malik Willis. For the Titans now, I think on a week-to-week basis, they're in evaluation mode. And I would argue the evaluation on Will Levis is already complete. For them, it's probably not. They probably want to wait a little bit longer here, Joe. But that's what we're looking at with a Tennessee Titans team who's 13-1 to win an AFC South, which is realistically a one-division league right now with the Texans in my eyes.
No, you're right. And when you talk about the assessment on Will Levis, I think they'll give it a little bit more time. Why? Because Callahan's a first-year head coach. We went from a basically more methodical offense with Mike Vrabel, Derrick Henry in terms of that offense, want to run the football. Now they're trying to open it up, be a little bit more dynamic running backs that could catch the football with Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard as well. But, you know, Will Levis has to limit the turnovers, number one. And number two, they have to force Miami into long 3rd downs from a defensive perspective. If they don't do that, and to Donnie's point, Tyreek and Jalen Waddle are torching that secondary, it's going to be a long night. Now, when you see Tyreek, guys, 50.5 number, when do you get that on Tyreek Hill? 28.5, 30 for Jalen Waddle. It's a must that Miami moves it over the top, but that's a tough ask. I will say this for Derrick Henry. The Titans were crazy to get rid of him. He's still got a lot of tread in the tank.
By the way, you are looking at the game here and saying to yourself, which to Joe's point is, look at these cheap numbers. That comes with like a 37.5 total, where some of these guys don't have to get through some exorbitant numbers to actually cash in tickets, and that's what I'm looking forward to tonight. And just a quick update there, a quarterback sneak on 3rd and 1, Kevin, puts the Tennessee Titans in Miami now range here at the 45-yard line moving.
Points?
DeAndre Hopkins caught the opening or the big pass on this drive that set that up, Donnie. And one thing that for me tonight, maybe another reason I'm betting Pollard, is in pregame, I didn't have a good read for the Titans pass catchers. Ridley seems to be the number one, but Hopkins did thrive a little bit last week. We know Hopkins injured in the preseason, coming along slowly but surely, had a monster game for those. This game tonight is a rematch of a game they had last year, which was a loss Miami suffered that should have never happened, and it's what ultimately led to them losing that division, going to Arrowhead. It was a season-changing loss. Hopkins had a big game there. I think we think about our chances tonight in-game. The Titans' pass-catching room is something that I know I'll be following closely to see where the opportunities are.
No, I'm with you. I altered Ridley down. I think it was 52.5 was his main number. I took it down because I expect him to, be the main target. But Hopkins had a cheap number as well. It really comes down to, is Will Levis in some sort of rhythm in regards to the passing game? If he is, then I'm willing to jump on him. I did take a shot on Will Levis tonight. I believe that in order for the Titans to win, he needs to produce. Took 225 plus, I believe a plus 192 in regards to the passing game. So we'll see if it comes out.
Yeah, we'll see a play here in just a little bit because the eye is on Will Levis. If he can move the football without turning it over tonight, the Tennessee Titans are going to have a chance, Kevin. And as I said that, Will Levis
turns it over.
He sure did. And the reality is, look.
By the way, if I could just say something, because, watching the game, Sometimes you throw aggressive interceptions where a player makes a great play and you say, you know what, I got to tip my cap. 1-on-1 ball, 40 yards down the field.
Yeah.
A defender at the defensive line tips a slant pass. It goes to somebody else. And then there is, oh, look, there's a defensive player 8 yards away. Let me hit him between the numbers. See how that works out for me. That's Will Levis. That's what he does. That's what he just did.
Yeah.
We have a lot of time tonight. I'm not going to jump the gun on whether or not Will Levis is going to be benched this season, when that could be. But an opening drive interception certainly suggests that at some time tonight you can look forward to a conversation on whether or not Will Levis will keep his job as the Titans starting quarterback. A 3.5-point live number now. Total drops a touch at 36.5. On the Dolphins side of the ball here, I did place Devon Achane bets. I think that they need to consistently get him the ball. Injury report, the biggest name in this game outside of Tua, no Jeffrey Simmons. This Titans defense is banged up coming in. L'Jarius Sneed's not playing at 100%. I expect Devon Achane to have a huge game here, 62.5. Anytime touchdown score, rushing, receiving, whatever you want to do. I played his rush yards and his anytime touchdown in this game.
It makes sense, too, because, by the way, it fits into the game plan now. Also, take a look at that news like Jeff Wilson's not going to play. Mostert already wasn't going to be there. And now you're starting quarterback who maybe he's going to run, maybe he's going to do little things. You have to lean on your running game. It's simple. Put the ball in his hands. He should be able to go over 100.
All right, we're going to get to Lisi's key to the Miami Dolphins tonight when we get back from our break. Before we do that, though, Joe, what are you expecting from Tyler Huntley? Do you feel week over week this is an upgrade for the Dolphins offense on Skylar Thompson, a downgrade, or a neutral move?
No, I think it's an upgrade. Because of the experience, because he's a veteran, and I actually think they can win football games with Tyler Huntley. From what I saw against Seattle, even with Skylar Thompson healthy, looked like a deer in the headlights, and Tim Boyle certainly isn't the answer. So if you're going to have any shot in order to make a wild card run, it's got to be with Tyler Huntley.
You think Huntley's an upgrade over Skylar Thompson?
Look, I saw Skylar Thompson play. Anybody. Joe Lisi is an upgrade over him at this point.
You think he could still move around a little bit?
I could, wishbone I could.
We are coming up against the break here. The Miami Dolphins are set to have the football. I am keying Devon Achane. Lisi looking for another target tonight where he believes that is where Miami should make sure the football goes. And how does that translate to the props market? And where will the in-game action move as Miami takes over here against the Tennessee Titans on a Monday night doubleheader?
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over/under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorlis told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
Would it make you feel better as a bettor or as a sports fan if they said after the game we were trying to cover the script?
Oh, God. To say it out loud? Oh, my God, no.
So what,
to say it out loud? Oh, my God, you can't say that out loud. No, you can't do that.
Okay, so what is the big deal either way?
Oh, play the game the right way.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
SportsGrid's in-game coverage of a Monday night doubleheader. Kevin Walsh, Donnie Rightside, and Joe Lisi. Miami Dolphins get the football here, Joe, and it looks like they agree with you. Your key tonight for the Miami Dolphins offense is what?
Yeah, it was Tyreek Hill. And we in the receiving game over the past couple of weeks, only 64 receiving yards. I thought it would start last week on the road in Seattle with Skylar Thompson. Didn't devise any type of one-on-one situations, any fly sweeps. They come right out in regards to this matchup. They get him the football, 16-yard carry. You have to get the football into Jalen Waddle, but more importantly, Tyreek Hill's hands to open up the rushing attack. I mean, they're going to stack the box, take away Devon Achane in the rushing attack, and force Huntley to beat them over the top. If Tyreek is catching footballs, that's a great recipe for Miami to cover and win.
I got to tell you that, Joe, because what was so disappointing about the Seattle game was you thought that was going to happen last week.
They didn't do it.
Get the playmakers the football any way you can, and they just couldn't do that. So tonight it's nice to see, and that was part of the handicap for me by saying, do I want to go Tyreek Hill to catch 50 or 60 yards worth of passes? Maybe so, but if I think they're going to get creative, I thought he would get 2 carries tonight, and I just wanted like 10 or 11 yards total. I end up with 16 on the first carry. That's brilliance. I love to see that.
It felt like Miami last week was just all out of sorts as it pertained to getting their guys the ball. I know you were on Hill yardage against Seattle. I was on his receptions. None of it was really close. And going to Huntley, I do think, is an upgrade. But also, no matter who their quarterback is, Tyreek shouldn't finish with 3 catches.
No. Never.
Devon Achane shouldn't finish with 11 rush attempts there. And if you look at the first 3 plays for the Dolphins, Waddle, Hill, Achane have now all touched the football. That's exactly what should be happening. Again, the irony part, Joe, is nobody thinks Tua is all that good anyway, right? So they think, oh, he's lifted by his head coach and his skill position players here. Well, then, I'm not saying Huntley needs to be as good as Tua. They should not go into Seattle and score 3 points like they did last week.
Absolutely. That was pathetic, and I was shocked that that's the way they went into that game plan conservative. I actually thought they moved the football with the running game. Achane, they can move it between the 30s. Once they got into any type of red zone type of situation, they completely got handcuffed. Now, I will say it goes beyond this game, though, right? I mean, if Miami's going to challenge for a wild card, you have to develop the offensive game plan, Donnie, around Huntley and, of course, around Hill and Waddle. Get them comfortable, the quarterback-to-wide receiver relationship. It starts in this game if they have any shot to make a playoff.
And also for Miami, they're in survival mode right now. We're not asking for the Miami Dolphins and Huntley to go and say, hey, you know what, now's the start of a Super Bowl championship. It's not. He's looking to just win football games. So if you do get Tua Tagovailoa back, you're going to be in striking distance to maybe make a playoff run. That's what we're looking forward to. But the reason why he's a starting quarterback, they're just looking for somebody competent. They just incompetence without Tua. We'll see if they can get it tonight. It looks decent right now, but we'll see.
And I do think Huntley is a competent quarterback. I really believe that. Adds a lot more mobility than Skylar Thompson, and Tua as well. You know, the thing is if Mike McDaniel is a good head coach, I know you don't think he is. I certainly think he's a good offensive play caller. And maybe I could get you to agree with that. All of a sudden, you throw a guy like Mike McDaniel, a new element. That is a huge thing where, Donnie, the Tennessee Titans don't have Miami Dolphins game film with a mobile quarterback. That is not something that they can go and figure out. The fact that the Titans this week had to spend time watching not just Dolphins film, they had to go back and watch all Baltimore Ravens games to figure out the tendencies of Tyler Huntley.
Yeah, and by the way, just a quick update on the game as we're watching Huntley. Just a mistake there. A backward pass, Kevin, overturned here now. Tennessee gets the ball back, so a turnover on both sides. This is probably what we expected. A sloppier game with 2 quarterbacks without a lot of NFL experience overall, and Love turning the football over apparently here. And by the way, heads-up play by the Tennessee Titans getting on that football where nobody on Miami felt like that was a forward pass.
But again, I'm sorry, that's on Tyreek Hill. So, Donnie, the
absolutely. Look at that. It's clear.
The ball's thrown backwards.
Which is the play design, keep in mind, too. Yes.
But it was thrown backwards, yet Tyreek wasn't up to the ball.
Yes.
Like, how slow was Tyreek Hill running there? And then, again, no effort to get on the football. Like, I'm not trying to absolve Tyler Huntley, Mike McDaniel. Your superstar can't do that.
Yes.
And Tyreek Hill's had some bad body language, I thought, since the middle of the Buffalo game here. I know Tyreek is, accustomed to winning and more than anything thriving. You have to give it your best if you want to thrive, Tyreek. I know it's not ideal.
Brutal.
That's bad out of him.
He has to carry this team. He has to. He has to be the leader, especially now with two out there. Him and Jalen Waddle, they're the two most explosive players on the team. As they go, so do the wins and losses. So, again, I agree with you. We see it all the time in the NFL. Ball behind the line of scrimmage, they're just loafing. We see it in college as well. You have to have more understanding and say, you know what, at the worst, I'll recover the football, and if it's a forward pass, that's fine. You can't put your team at a disadvantage, especially with a quarterback in Huntley that's there a week. It's not good, but
we'll dropping down to 33.5.
If this gets around 30, I'm going to dive back
through.
in. Yeah.
Let's see who gets the next turnover in this game. I wonder who it's going to be. But by the way, the reason why I was talking to Kevin about that last play and why it was so important is where he said you can't have your superstar wide receiver do that. The play design calls for that ball to be thrown backwards, which means Tyreek Hill knows that's a backward pass. Yeah. And to catch it, drop it, and be like, I think it's incomplete. Like, no, the design of the play is basically to him for a running play there. Just terrible move, but that was a chance to capitalize. Weren't able to do it. Now we'll see if Tennessee can go the other direction here.
Well, and again, with the total sinking here right now, I'm not rushing to the window, but we have 2 drives. Football was moved on both of the drives. Couple of turnovers. We already started so low. I think there is arguably some opportunity on this on a live total. Now you have a critical 4th and 1 coming up, though. They said Will Levis didn't get there.
Wow.
I thought that was a bad spot.
If I'm Tennessee,
oh my goodness,
are you going for this, Donnie?
On the 48-yard line?
Oh, I'm going for it. 1,000%. I am going for it, and I preface that.
Now, I mean, you're telling me that this team kicks on 4th and 1 at the 45-yard line.
Unbelievable. You got to be kidding.
What year are we in football? Are there any analytics? And by the way, they are showing the replay right here.
Down?
Let's see.
But the ball crossed out of bounds first.
Yeah, but that's a terrible call. There's no. I understand that's probably what they call it. That's a horrible call. That is a horrible call.
You know what I think the other issue, though, and probably why Tennessee didn't challenge it, is they just had to challenge that fumble.
But they get another one back, though.
But if they get that right, then you have no challenges left the whole game, which is like a bad rule.
Man, that is
brutal.
That was a bad rule.
Infinity challenge.
Like, why can't we have, that's one of those where that sky cam is supposed to correct that and say, you know what, that was a first down at this point. Isn't that what it was designed for?
Yeah.
And by the way, egregious. Egregious.
Again,
terrible.
It reminds me of when we were just sitting here on a Thursday and I was telling you they were going to kick a field goal because Daniel Jones was the quarterback. That lets you everything you need to know. A dropping total. Do we dive in? We'll answer that on the other side of this quick break.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take the Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over/under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorless told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
Would it make you feel better as a bettor or as a sports fan if they said after the game we were trying to cover the script?
Oh, God. To say it out loud? Oh, my God, no.
So what,
to say it out loud? Oh, my God. You can't say that out loud. No, you can't do that.
Okay, so what is the big deal either way?
Oh, play the game the right way.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Back right here, in-game live, as we hit the break, asking the question, do we jump in on a dropping total that started really low, 37, 36.5, maybe 37.5 in the market here? Lisi, it looks like the answer for you is yes.
Yes, I just jumped in 32.5. I'm willing to take a shot. I did jump on Ridley in-game total right now, 33.5 receiving, and Hopkins over 44.5 receiving. I know Levis is a little bit banged up, but I don't care. I'm willing to take that shot.
By the way, I just showed Mason Rudolph on the bench. Obviously, he's not warming up just yet, but you saw Will Levis come off the field and complain about something about his shoulder, which means who knows if he's going to be 100% the rest of the way. So let me ask this question. If they go to Mason Rudolph, like, before halftime, you got to, like, positive for the Titans, right?
Yeah. It's not a negative. I know that
yes,
much.
Exactly.
If Will Levis does have an issue, it's not a negative is how I would look at that. And
a lot of celebrations, Kate, though.
There certainly are, Donnie. There's certainly.
Look, I don't know. I'm just guessing here what's going on. What do I know?
Oh, boy.
Tyreek Hill had a catch on this drive that went for a yard. They're going to punt here in Miami. And we look at his props now, right? One of the key stars we know for this football game tonight. But coming into this drive, had a receiving yardage total at 52.5. Again, the receptions prop for anybody who would be looking to bet that, you'd probably get 4+, 5+ here. Do you look at this, what we've seen early in this game, and usually I'm a yardage better when it comes to the wide receivers. Would you guys look for the receptions on Tyreek Hill or the receiving yards?
Receiving yards.
I would go yards.
It's 52.5 now, so here we go.
Because of a big play,
All
right?
So wait,
what do you got?
Scrap that. So never mind, potentially a huge update here.
Oh, what happened?
I saw Mason Rudolph walking, and I saw a blue tent all in one shot on the broadcast here. We're going to get another. We kind of have a few things going so we can catch things once or twice here. We might have a huge change all of a sudden now where Mason Rudolph is going in
I like this.
at the quarterback position now. Will Levis in the blue tent. He was trying to stretch the shoulder out here. Terrible sign.
Oh, wow.
And let's be honest, it's not like they are going to be rushing to get Levis out there with the way that he looked. All of a sudden, a huge shift here. 31.5 is the live total.
Yeah.
That drops a bit. Any Will Levis numbers are obviously long gone here. But Mason Rudolph, the longtime quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mason Rudolph has started playoff games before. All of a sudden now gets the ball here on a Monday night, Donnie.
There is no downgrade is what we were just talking about. And it's funny where you saw that play where he made an athletic play, should have got the first down on 4th and 1, came off the field mouthing something is wrong with my shoulder, tried to work it out on the sideline. Looks like he's going into the blue tent and get checked out. But again, I don't think there's any downgrading here with the quarterback coming because Levis was a turnover machine. The question is going to be, how do you play this to your advantage? Is this better for the wide receivers? Well, it can't be worse at this point for the wide receivers. At least he's jumping at what, overs or what?
Overs,
Props? Do you have any props?
33. I took a parlay. 33.5 and 45.5 for Hopkins and Ridley. I'm taking a shot.
Those numbers to you, Joe, in your opinion, Hopkins 44.5 live yards, Ridley 32.5, Boyd 21.5. Are those numbers that are even remotely adjusting to the Will Levis injury, or do you think the books are saying, no, this is the same quarterback that's coming up?
I actually think it's an upgrade. I think Mason, let's not forget, Mason Rudolph led the Steelers to the playoffs.
Beat out Kenny Pickett.
Beat up on the Bengals, had a breakout performance. I know that was with George Pickens and those wide receivers, but this group right here, Ridley and Hopkins, are experienced. I mean, you would have to expect that Mason Rudolph is a veteran. They're going to put passing plays in there. I don't expect that they're just going to run it with Tony Pollard and the rushing attack. You open it up. This is a game that they can win.
I love this. It's the strategy there. Backup quarterback comes in.
So,
but it's not like. But we're talking about a backup quarterback that
he's got weapons out there.
And
he's got two legitimate wide receivers, a good tight end, and a quality run game. Like somebody should be able to fit this in. Like when I was talking about the Titans to enter into the season, guys, it was like, can I just be an average quarterback with Will Levis because they spent money to get weapons in town? They have weapons. Mason Rudolph, if he looks he should be competent, right?
Yeah,
that's the goal.
And again, I think that Levis has had moments of competency, like for them. It's that Will Levis can't stop turning the football over, right?
Disaster.
Like, they can move the ball some. And again, Levis is already.
Yeah.
Here's the incredible thing, right? Mm-hmm. All these Levis bets tonight, under, unless you bet him to not throw an interception.
Yeah.
Like, you still didn't get out of there with a win.
Correct, yeah.
If you made that wager tonight on Will Levis. We have our first Monday night game underway with Mason Rudolph now under center. We have a second Monday night game coming up as well. That is the Seattle Seahawks and the Detroit Lions. As we follow our in-game coverage here of game number 1, our pregame wagers for game 2, we'll give you those next. We're live on SportsGrid on a Monday night.